Good evening and welcome to the Tasmanian Premier League show for a wrap-up of all the action from around the state. And joining me again tonight, as always, is Walter Pless. How are you, Walter?
Good evening, Jeremy. I'm well, thank you.
And we welcome Nicole Hale from the Tilford Zebras to come along and review some of the matches from over the weekend.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay, well, I guess we'll get straight into it, Walter. And the first game we've got up tonight is the Friday night game between Hobart Zebras and South Hobart.
Yes, it was a pretty exciting and skillful game, actually. I was very impressed, Jeremy. South Hobart ended up winning 2-0, but Nicole, you've just joined Tilford Zebras.
Yes.
So would you like to tell us why you left Nelson and joined Zebras?
Yeah, I left Nelson, who I've played with for 10 years, to join Juventus, mainly to help the youth at their club. They've got quite a lot of young up-and-coming players, and I thought that with my experience now with coaching that I'd be able to help a lot of the youth at the club.
South Hobart are the more experienced side, but as I said earlier, I was very impressed with the Zebras. What have you seen so far since you've joined them?
The training sessions that Robert Corradetti, the coach, puts the girls through are quite intense, and most of the girls play with the same school team as well, so they're used to playing together as a unit, which is quite good. And just the general overall intensity at training sessions, I think, is doing the job at the moment for the girls.
Nicole, how, I guess over the years or your years in the game, how has the, I guess, the women's competition developed, and what standard do you think it is at the moment?
The standard at the moment, I think, down here, I suppose you get the dominant sides like the Uni and the Nelsons, also Launceston City up north are quite dominant, and I think that they would match it with a few teams on the mainland. It's just that now the teams like South Hobart with the young players are up and coming, which is good to see, and finally I think that all the other clubs are going to have a challenge when these more youthful players get a bit more experience behind them.
We see a fantastic goal coming up here. What do you make of that?
I wish I could do the same thing, actually.
Make David Beckham blush, I
reckon it would.
Walter, who did you think sort of stood out in this game on Friday night?
I'm not sure, I'm not that familiar with the players, unfortunately, Jeremy, but I think evening games for women is a tremendous promotion for the game. Would you agree with that, Nicole?
Yes, I would actually. I find, as a player myself, the only night games that we do generally get to play is if we make a final and get to play before the men, and that's a good publicity for the women's game as well, because we get a bit of media coverage, which is great, and the spectators get to see what women can actually do in football.
Nikki, you're probably more qualified to comment on some of the players. Who do you think stood out?
I was actually supposed to be playing in the game, but was unfortunately injured, so this is my first footage seeing the game. Looks like Zina Hassari from South Hobart's contributed quite a fair bit into the game, and also Hannah Manuela scoring a great goal.
She played quite well in defence too.
Yeah, she's an excellent sweeper.
And I noticed her sister Jessica was back from South Australia watching the game.
Yes, I reckon Hannah would have tried to impress her older sister.
Nicole, can you run us through, for the people at home who probably don't have a great understanding of the women's competition, who will be the front runners in the competition this year?
Well, definitely Nelson. Nelson are probably the strongest Southern Women's Premier side. University have changed a lot under the coaching of Les Richardson, and yeah, that'd be our biggest competition. Okay, the next game we move into is the Locke Seljack Cup, the game between Kingston Cannons and Launceston United.
Yes, this was the second qualifying round of the competition, and we had several local derbies involving Premier League sides, and then we had some teams that had to travel. The one we're watching, of course, is Kingston Cannons against the Northern Premier League side, Launceston United. Kingston Cannons are in Division 1. They've got a mixture of experienced players and young players. They've got some of the older, wiser heads such as Twatch Hussain, Neil Thomas, John Demir, and they did very well to win this game 5-3 against Premier League opponents. Launceston United, of course, are bottom of the Northern Premier League, and there's a great goal by Kingston there. scored by Krishnan, who actually ended up scoring a hat-trick.
Launceston, you mentioned Launceston United have been around the bottom of the table and obviously didn't put up much of a fight down at Kingston against a lower club, Walter.
No, I think they're having a very difficult season, Jeremy. They'll do very well to get off bottom spot in the Northern League. I suppose if there is a positive side to this is that they can now concentrate on the league and they don't have to travel around the state.
Well, that must be one thing that coaches have to deal with. Do you field a full strength squad and play in these cups, or do you just focus on your own leagues?
I think at this level you field a full strength squad, not like the Premier League where you have top sides resting 8 players in anticipation of playing European semi-finals. Okay, I'll go through the results of this competition. As I said, the game we just watched was Kingston Cannons 5, Launceston United 3, Newtown Eagles 7, defeated Hobart United 1, Riverside Olympic trounced Christian United 5-0, Kingborough Lions just got home 3-2 against Metro. That was one of the All Premier League derbies. University won 3-1 against Taroona, so Taroona recovered well from their 12-0 hiding in the league last week. And in the final match, Prospect Knights scored the winning goal 13 seconds from the end of the game to beat Ulverston 4-3.
Yeah, I was down at the University Taroona game and Julian Proud scored an amazing header. The game was sort of on a balancing act, I guess, and it could have gone either way, and he rose above the pack as he does. He's a big, strong man and put the game beyond doubt.
Mm-hmm. Were Taroona showing any signs of trauma or shell shock after last weekend, Jeremy?
I think Taroona are going to find it very tough this year. They just don't look like a very polished outfit. They look like they're going to struggle week in, week out.
It'll be very interesting to see the draw for the next round, which is the first round proper, and this is where the big guns of Tasmanian soccer come in. Your Devonport Cities, your Glenorchy Knights, your Tilford Zebras, Hobart Olympics.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an interesting round, especially with clubs like Kingston Cannons coming up as well, because they can be the bogey sides and I guess can put off some of the big clubs because the bigger clubs don't really know a lot about their players, Walter.
Certainly, and that's what cup football is all about, giant killing acts, and it's always nice to see a few, as long as you don't support the vanquish.
Well, we've seen it in the FA Cup in England this year, Walter, perfect example.
Yeah, we've got Cardiff City playing Portsmouth, and it's interesting that Cardiff City played in Tasmania back in 1968. They beat Tasmania 5-1 at Queenborough.